Hey YouTubers, just wanted to do another review for you. This is my Remington 7600 in 308 that I've picked up recently. It's not new, it's second hand. The guy had done the modifications to this rifle that I was looking for, and I picked it up at half the price of what a new one was going to be, and then add to that the cost of all the modifications I wanted to do. Was going to add up pretty quickly, so I picked this one up. It had only apparently had about 200 rounds through it. It's in reasonably good condition, so nothing bad to report. So a quick review on the rifle. I think many people that are familiar with these 7600s. It's got a EGW Picatinny rail adapter, mag pull, foregrip, mag pull there. It's got a mag pull buttstock, and it came with adjustable different height combs and butt pad. This particular model was a 23-inch barrel. I took it to a gunsmith and he checked it out, and I asked about shortening the length of the barrel, just purely for it's going to be a scrub gun for chasing pigs. We also threaded the barrel, so it's now a 21-inch barrel essentially, but then we've added a muzzle brake to check how that goes for keeping the sights on. This is a custom-made muzzle brake by a guy by the name of Ralph in Newcastle in Australia. I've tried it a couple of times. It seems to work, but I want to do a bit more testing and back-to-back testing, taking the muzzle brake off compared to just the standard barrel. So I've got this Leupold HOG that I actually had. You may have seen on other videos that I've done. It was on my 22 Magnum 410 combination in the Savage 42. I found it didn't really have the magnification that I needed for 100 metre, 100 yard plus headshots on rabbits. So I've swapped and taken this off, and that's why I'm going to mount this on this Remington 7600. So I'll do a quick video, a quick review of the Leupold. You can see the gold stamp, the gold ring. It is, if I can get the camera to focus, there we go, VX HOG, 1:4 magnification by 20mm tube. And again, we'll try and get that camera to focus. Sorry guys, I'm not using my phone this time, I'm using a proper camera. And just to give you there's lots of videos out there, but just to give you a what the reticle looks like, and in the middle there, pig plex, which I think is pretty cool. And you can see the mil dots there. So I've got that zeroed at 200, or had it zeroed at 200, and it was about 1.5 inches high at 100 with 150 grainers. Worked quite well. And the other thing I want to show you is, get that to focus again, come on, there we go, quarter MOA, one click. So I'm just about to remount this now. The reason, just to review also, it came with this 4-round box magazine, and then I picked up a Lucky 13 from Cleavers in Queensland. See if I can get that to show up in the light. Alloy, quite lightweight, quite neat. It's actually really well machined. A couple of scrub marks just for where I'm loading it into the receiver in the but you can see there, there we go, Lucky 13, that's all alloy as well. Works really well, really reliable, no dramas with that, lightweight, looks cool. If you had it mounted, it sort of works as a foregrip as well. It's really nice stuff, reasonably priced. for Australia. I mean, in America you could probably pick that up for $50. In Australia that's about 180 or something like that. I can't remember exactly now, but Cleaver's up in Queensland, not sponsored by them, just giving them a rap because they really looked after me with that gear. So with this thing, when I had it on here, I was sighting in and I was getting really nice groups, and then I tried 165 grainers through it, and suddenly it went all over the shop. Tried 130 grainers, all over the shop. Went back to 150 grainers, which I was originally sighting it in on, all over the shop. And that's when I sent it up to the gunsmith to get the barrel checked and everything like that. He gave back to me, said everything's Mickey Mouse, checked the barrel, checked everything, said it was brilliant, took it back, was sighting in really nice, and then suddenly all over the shop again. So I recently sent this back to our Leupold dealer importer in Australia, which is Naya up in Queensland. I could not say anything bad about those guys. They were really, really good communicators. I got an email from them giving me the guy who was actually working on it, emailed me directly, gave me his phone number. I was able to ring him and talk to him directly without any hassle whatsoever. Gave me the full details of what he found, which in the end he said just the adjustment sliders were a bit sticky, they've lubed them up and sent it back to me. And it was just, email back to Australia Post. So I really honestly, even though I may have had an issue with this particular scope, that may have just been an unlucky one. As far as the brand Leupold and as far as Naya's service, I fully recommend them. So anyway, that was just a bit of an overview of another setup that I've got going on at the moment, and I'm going to now mount this scope and take it out in the next week or two and sight it in, and might even do a video comparing that muzzle brake with sound and recoil compared to without the muzzle brake. And yeah, hopefully this scope sights in really nicely for me, and can try and get out and do a bit of hunting. Alright guys, all the best, cheers. So here it is all finished off guys. I used my levels to level the scope off against the rifle, and that's how she finished up. I found with the eye relief I was able to bring it fairly forward compared to how I originally had it mounted, and then you can wind that out and it gives you quite good eye relief, whereas I had it back a fair bit further, and when I really started looking through the scope I realised that it had a lot of room to go forward, and then I could adjust that eye relief out, and it didn't affect anything. So the only thing the two holes in the top of the barrel there from removing the sights, but no, otherwise it's not a bad rifle, and probably in Australia good for hunting pigs. Yeah, so there you go. We'll next video will be out hunting it, sighting it in, sorry. So the other thing I may have not continued or finished the story properly because my mind's going a million miles an hour. As far as Leupold and Naya up in Queensland, I sent this back to get repaired, and these things, as many people know, lifetime warranty, no cost whatsoever. They sent me down the package box to send up to them. I sent it up, they repaired it, they sent it back. Didn't cost me a cent. So I think money well spent for a Leupold as far as lifetime warranty is concerned. There are other rifles out there, other scopes out there that give a lifetime warranty, and my personal thoughts are, if this is in the cheap end of a scope, to get lifetime warranty, zero cost for repairs. If you're shopping around for a scope, I'd definitely look at Leupold or whatever scope gives a lifetime warranty that you prefer and suits your needs and likes. But yeah, no complaints whatsoever with these guys. Totally free, hopefully repaired. We'll see. Cheers, guys. Alright folks, here we are with the Remington 7600. I've got Lucky 13 magazine just to show you its cycling. We've got the muzzle brake on. I just wanted to do a back-to-back test of the muzzle brake, as well as we're going to be sighting it in today. I'm at a mate's property, another property I'm very fortunate to be able to access. He's got a 50 and a 100 yard range, and then over the hill he's actually got a 200 yard range as well. Great for this sort of stuff. So I just wanted to give you an idea of how this muzzle brake works, and as well as the Lucky 13 magazine. You can see how nicely it cycles. Using the 150 grain Cillier and below, if that's how you pronounce it. Those stepped rounds that I've done a review on previously. They seem to work quite well out of this thing, so I'll stick them with them for now. Alright, let's see how we go. Okay, so the last shot you saw was with the muzzle brake on. I've now taken the muzzle brake off, and just for aesthetics I'll screw the thread cap on. Okay. Good old hearing protection. You do have to ram these a fair way, like fairly firmly, to get them to cycle properly, I've found. If you don't ram it forward really hard, it might jam up on you. But this is the muzzle brake, without the muzzle brake, sorry. Couldn't say that I particularly felt any difference. Out to 100 yards now. Come on, side in, Daniel. I don't know, I'll have to check the video to see how much. You might have seen it. You might be able to see it in the video, but I didn't really notice much difference. Maybe pushed back into me a bit more. Don't know. I apologise for the wind and the shadow. I'll, if this doesn't work, I'll do it at home a bit better. So I've sighted in the Remington 7600 308 in at 50 yards. Sighted it in with the muzzle brake on. Started off down here and crept my way up. This is the last shot. I went up to and right to, and that's where it's ended up. Now I haven't adjusted it from there, okay? But that's not to say that the scope didn't take a couple more rounds to settle on where it needed to be. This is a quick side in just to see if I could get groups today. That was my last shot at 50 yards. I then went out to the 100 yard target. As you can stop it. As you can see here, 100 yards, Remington 308 with muzzle brake. That's where that's ended up. About 1.5 inches high, which is actually where I wanted it to be. Just needed a little bit of finesse from there. Now again, I have not adjusted it from there. I went back to the 50 yard and took the muzzle brake off. I have not adjusted the sights in any way. All I did was take the muzzle brake off. Not on paper. With the muzzle brake off, without adjusting anything with the sights, I went back to the 100 yard. Not on paper. I thought, oh, don't tell me this scope is playing up again. I went back to a fresh new 50 yard. I'm on paper, albeit a little bit higher than where it was last, but I'm back on paper. I don't know about you guys, but that surprised me. I've never played with muzzle brakes before in any way, but to have with the muzzle brake and without a muzzle brake, to be not even on the paper, considering I couldn't really definitively tell you that there was a massive difference in the feel of the recoil with and without. I'm pretty surprised. 50, no muzzle brake at 50. So yeah, interesting result I thought. Cheers.